Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session regarding financial aid and student employment. My name is Erin Wolf. I am the Director of Financial Aid here at Bucknell, and I have my dear friend and colleague, Randy Thien, here as well, representing our Student Employment Office on campus. Thanks again for being here. This is just a presentation meant to give you some insight on where you should be in relation to the financial aid process at this point, but also give you some things to think about as you're preparing to come to campus. And if student employment and working on our campus is something of interest to you, Randy is going to be your point of connection to the office and will provide some detailed information related to our student employment experience at Bucknell. So to get started, I want to talk through the financial aid process and introduce you to what is called our self-service portal. You will access this portal through My Bucknell. If you haven't been to this site, this is something you want to familiarize yourself with pretty quickly. This is the area where we will be communicating with you as a student, and if parents are here, we will be pushing a lot of information to your students in this portal. If you go in here, you can see a lot of different information related to financial aid. We're going to have additional messaging in here, and you actually can click and look at each academic year separately. So as you matriculate through Bucknell, you'll be able to see a snapshot of your financial aid over each year, be able to see the amount of student loans you have taken if you choose to borrow a federal student loan. But this is a place that you want to essentially go to, familiarize yourself with, and as we communicate, we will link you to this site if we need additional information from you. One thing just to be, provide a little more details, we do like to break down the types of financial aid. So scholarships and grant aid, for those of you who have those funds, you're not going to be repaying those funds. Scholarship will roll forward each year you're here at the institution. If you are on a need-based grant, we will ask you to complete the FAFSA each year. The profile is not needed year over year. It is just a one-time application. And then you will see on here under the award notification, if you want an annual copy of your financial aid notifications, we don't mail them after your first year. You would actually click in this area. You can receive a copy of your letter that you can print out, provide to scholarship organizations, or any kind of entities that are required to have that information in writing. If you are borrowing a federal student loan, we're going to have some resources in this presentation that will help you through that process. And you will see in here that we have a terms and conditions site. You probably are being asked to go in and review the terms and conditions. And that's something we do annually with our students just to make sure you understand how the financial aid is working year over year. So nothing is of a surprise to you. If you have any outside scholarships, we're going to talk a little bit about that later in the presentation, but you will be able to report those scholarships within the portal. That information is directly submitted into a financial aid counselor where we will add that information into your financial aid, and you will end up seeing that information listed here in the portal as well. The most important part of the financial aid process right now, and we will be emailing you probably bi-weekly until you take care of this, is setting up your security word. This is really important. Federal regulations require that we lock down your records so that none of your personal information, your tax data, or any of your personal financial aid related information is shared with anyone except a student and or the parent or party, a student supporter who the student does grant access to provide information to. Students will go in, create a security word, and then share that with the parties that you wish us to be able to talk to. If you call into the office right now, our staff is set to ask you for the security word before they will actually help you with your application or questions related to financial aid. Please know they are not being difficult. This is, again, a way to really make sure that your information is safe and secure, given all of the level of documentation that we have in relation to the financial aid application. As I had mentioned just a few minutes ago, outside scholarships are a really great way for you to reduce any kind of amount due to Bucknell when our billing statement is out available for you to review. You should be aware that billing statements are typically generated for the fall term around the second week of July. So a few days after you're watching this presentation, you can expect that Bursar Services will be posting your charges in your B-bill. Any financial aid will credit against your B-bill as long as you have all of your financial aid application complete. If any of you have already graduated or have received information related to outside scholarships, we do encourage you to report that information to our office. We want to make sure any outside scholarships that are submitted and payable directly to Bucknell are sent to our office so we can get those items credited to your account, and you will see those as an offset towards any charges. If you are planning to borrow any federal student loans, we do add a small fee to your cost of attendance. The Department of Education holds about $10 on every $1,000 in student loans that you take. So you can see just the difference in what our cost of attendance would be for those who are choosing to not borrow versus those who choose to borrow. If you are still looking for some outside scholarship options, these are just two sites that we encourage you to look at. There are many others out there, but as always, something I will remind our students and parents is make sure you're not paying for any of these services. Outside scholarship sources are free. They may ask for just your name and an email because that information is important for their site, but you should not be paying for any of this information. If you would need any help navigating some options, please, call the Office of Financial Aid. We're happy to assist you with other information related to types of aid out there beyond Bucknell that you may be able to receive. So one thing I just want to point out, right now, you are probably receiving emails related to federal student loans. And I know as the billing is approaching, families are thinking, how am I going to pay the tuition bill? If you are considering borrowing, the loans that you're seeing on this page, the Federal Direct Loan Program, these are your cheapest options as a student. So the subsidized and unsubsidized loan is for a student only. There is a cap on how much every student can receive each academic year. It is based on how many credits you have earned each year, and the application, the FAFSA that you submit will be the determinant of how we decide whether you're getting a subsidized or unsubsidized loan. It is not something that you as a student or family can determine. It is based on the financial aid application and all the other types of financial aid you're receiving first. And then that remaining part will be the breakdown of whether it's an interest-free loan. So the subsidized loan is interest-free while you are enrolled as a student. There is a 6-month grace period after graduation before that loan would go into repayment. And effective July 1, 2026, there are 2 payment plans available for federal student loans after you graduate. One is a standard plan, and the other right now, they're still working out some changes to that loan program, but it will be based on the amount of loans you have borrowed and the amount of income you have as well. So there will be more information on that closer to the time you graduate. If at any time while you're confused or interested in learning more, we have a loan representative here in the Office of Financial Aid who is able to assist you with that process. I want to call out the interest rates for the upcoming academic year, the 26-27 academic year. These interest rates change each year. They are set by the Department of Education along with the federal government. So we in the Office of Financial Aid do not know the interest rates until May of each year. So next May of 2027, we will be able to tell you the interest rates for your sophomore year at the university. But for this year, they are slightly higher, 6.52% with the market fluctuations. We were hoping that we would see the rates drop a little bit, but they actually did increase slightly. There is still a 1.057% origination fee. And again, that is for every $1,000 you borrow, $10 is withheld by the federal government and used to service your loan on the back end. For those students who did not qualify for any subsidized loans, you may have a portion or all of your loans in an unsubsidized loan. And this is available to you regardless of your need determination from the FAFSA. there is interest that does accrue on this loan. So just like any other loan program out there, interest will accrue while you're in school. You can choose to make interest payments, or you can choose to let those defer and pay those at a later time. That is completely up to you. You would work with your federal student loan servicer once that loan is dispersed to Bucknell, and you could make those arrangements with your servicer at that time. The way federal student loans work is that you will have a fall disbursement and a spring disbursement. So it's twice a year. They're equal disbursements. There are a lot of different things coming in relation to the federal student loan changes. And as we are aware of those, we will update our website and push out important information for families and students to be aware of if anything is changing related to the federal loan program. If you're planning to borrow your federal student loans, we are hoping to hear from you soon. Some of you students that are listening today may have already taken care of this, so thank you so much. When we process financial aid, we're required to tell every student what their eligibility is for all sources of financial aid, whether it's institutional, state, federal, you name it. If you have a federal student loan in your financial aid award, it is up to you to tell us if you are accepting or declining that loan. We will not process a federal student loan without your permission. So it is imperative that you respond within that self-service portal and click the accept or decline action item in the portal. If you would accept the loan but change your mind later, you would want to follow up with the Office of Financial Aid. We would work with you on a change in your decision, or if you decline the loan but later in the year decide you are going to need that to maybe assist you with a study abroad expense or something else related to your educational charges, we can work with you at that time to allow you to take those student loans. Again, taking a student loan and just accepting that in the portal doesn't mean you're done with the process. Because you are a new borrower or haven't borrowed in the past, you don't have credit established. The Federal Department of Education requires you to do a few other things to make this loan actually processable. Like, we cannot process this without your information. So we need you to complete entrance counseling. That is done at studentaid.gov, a site you're familiar with from filing your FAFSA. Anything related to your financial aid history is stored in studentaid.gov. So it is nice that you have one site to go through to complete all of these business actions with the federal government. Entrance counseling will provide you with more information related to your student loan. So what is your loan? How does this work? What does repayment look like for you in the future? And it might be a little overwhelming, and it's probably going to take you about 15 to 20 minutes to complete that action, but it is necessary, and it is completed one time for your 4 years at Bucknell. And then we need you to do one more step, and that is a promissory note. This is just an agreement that you make with the Department of Education that you, as the borrower, will pay your loan back after graduation. The master promissory note will ask for your demographic information, and then we'll need two references. One could be a parent, and the other could be a grandparent, friend, or other family member that would know where you are after you graduate. The last slide before I turn over to Randy is just some other things to be aware of in relation to how to pay your bill. Number one, effective July 1, 2026, many of you here are new borrowers at Bucknell, so you will be under the new loan caps for the Federal Parent Plus Loan Program. The Department of Education has decided that they will cap loans at $20,000 per year for a parent and a max of $65,000 over the 4 years at a university. So yes, that does mean if you're borrowing $20,000 a year in your senior year, you will only have $5,000 remaining to take from the Parent Plus Loan Program. This was changes put into place, recently, and there are other options if you don't want to choose a Federal Parent Plus Loan Program, which we'll talk through here as well. If you do take a Parent Plus loan, the interest rate will be 9.0%. That is fixed. That is determined by the Department of Education, and it is not based on your credit score, your debt to income ratio. It is a fixed rate determined each year. Beyond the Federal Parent Plus Loan Program, there is a monthly payment plan option. Our Bursar Services option office works with the Nelnet Campus Commerce site. And they have been pushing out information related to the payment plan since early part of May. You would have received an email from the Office of Financial Aid with all sorts of information related to the loan programs and also the payment plan. If you wanted to start that for the fall semester, the first payment actually, if you want the 5 month payment plan, would have started in June. So you can work with Nelnet to figure out how much you would like to pay monthly if this is an option for you. It is interest free, but there is a $50 application fee that is payable to Nelnet to manage your payment plan. And last but not least, beyond the Parent Plus loan program or the subsidized, unsubsidized loan program is the private education loans. These are with various banks and credit unions throughout the United States. We have a list of lenders on our financial aid page. You will link to what's called Elm Select. And there's where you can find information related to some lenders that we have completed a request for information to understand the rates that they have, the options for repayment that they can provide to borrowers. We want to provide you at least with lenders that we can trust from working with them over the past few years, or from feedback from some of our students and families on lenders that they felt have provided good rates. If you are borrowing as a student, you would need a cosigner on a private education loan. Some of them will allow you to borrow without a cosigner, but you will have to show a certain amount of income to be approved. Parents can take a private education loan in their name with their student as the beneficiary too. So it's almost like a parent loan, but in terms of a private loan. I will say that your rates will be a little more flexible under the private education loan program. It will depend on your credit score and your debt to income ratio. So I encourage you to look at that site, make some phone calls, call us if we can help navigate this process. There is a lot of information out there, so we want to make sure you have the best information at the time of making those decisions. So now I'm going to turn over to Randy some information related to the Student Employment Program.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for sharing such wonderful information about financial aid. So, turning things over to student employment. So, if you're interested in, finding job opportunities on campus, getting some meaningful experience while you're a student here, and making a little money on the side, while you're studying, student employment is a great way to get that involvement on campus. And so, what is student employment all about? It's really about, connecting, what you're studying in the classroom with, what you're doing, with other activities and working within different offices around campus. I love to tell students that basically any department you think of across campus hires student employees. So whether you want to work with, athletics, you want to do research within your area of study, if you want to work within the library, if you want to do community service around the Lewisburg area, there are so many work opportunities for you to get involved. By being a student employee, you join the group that's, we say one out of every three students has a job on campus, with many of them having multiple job opportunities, which is just a great way to support the campus community. And what's so great about working on campus is that it's going to be flexible around your academic schedule. And regardless if you have work study in your financial aid package, whether you do or you don't, any student can find jobs on campus, which is really great. And so, how are you going to find a job on campus? So, if you haven't already found this over the summer, basically, if you navigate to your My Bucknell campus dashboard and scroll under the Administrative Resources tab, there's going to be one link to our student job site, which is called Bison at Work. By clicking through that link, you'll find every, job opportunity that's, posted and available around our campus. You're more than welcome to view those jobs, see the various job descriptions and qualifications that might ask for, and you can apply to as many opportunities that you want, and apply to what piques your interest by submitting the and filling out the standard student application, as well as submitting a resume and or cover letter if that's asked for. And then just some other great student employment reminders and good information to know. So, because academics are your number one priority while studying and being a part of the Bucknell community, during the academic year while classes are in session, students are I'm able to max out at working 20 hours a week across all campus positions. So whether you work one job and dedicate 20 hours a week toward that, or if you want to work multiple positions and work 5 to 10 hours per different job, you can do that as long as it maxes out at your 20-hour per week limit. If you are work study eligible, what that means for you is that you are not just awarded the work study funds automatically. You have to redeem those by first finding a job on campus and completing your employment paperwork with our student employment team. And then once you've secured that position, then as you work over the year, you'll be redeeming those work study dedicated funds. And then anyone that is interested in working on campus, it's important to note that you will need to have your original and unexpired forms of documentation in order for us to, authenticate, who you are in order to validate your employment eligibility. So for US citizens primarily, it's important to either have a passport or your driver's license combined with a social security card or birth certificate. And when it comes to international students or non-citizens, as long as you have your international passport as well as a Form I-94 is typically the documentation that we're looking for. So, regardless of citizenship, you are eligible to work on campus, and regardless of your work study status, you also have the opportunity to work. So, with that, I will turn things back over to Erin to finish out our wonderful presentation.
Great. Thanks, Randy. One quick question I have for you that maybe you could help our listeners today. In relation to a lot of the questions that I see on some of the listservs related to, getting ready to onboard to college, can you just share with us what the minimum pay rate is at Bucknell for a student employment job? I think a lot of our students are not necessarily Pennsylvania residents, so they're coming from other states where minimum pay ranges are different than our, state of Pennsylvania, which is lower than many states. So can you just share that information real quick? Because I think that would help just some of our students and families feel a little bit better about kind of the ranges they would see here.
Gladly, yes, that's a great point to bring up, Aaron. So, when it comes to the pay rates for student jobs here at Bucknell, the minimum wage for positions is going to be $10 an hour. Typically, positions will start at either 10, 11, or $12 an hour based on the job duties and responsibilities associated with the position. And to give that further perspective, where Bucknell has that minimum wage of $10 an hour, PA state minimum wage is 7.25. So it's definitely a bump up from what you expect from the state, and it's definitely competitive with other universities, in the central PA area. So definitely
Yep.
a good opportunity to make some wages here.
Yep. Great. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And last, just before we end our presentation today, as you're thinking about your experience here at Bucknell, I want to call out some just, other important things. First off, our office is always here to help. We're here with, FAFSA issues, application questions. We have office hours every day. We're open from 8 to 4:30. And so we are here to help our families and students through this process. But while you're here as a student, I think it's really important to think about study abroad. We have so many options, whether you're thinking of a shorter lead program that could be anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks in length over our winter or summer, or the academic year where you can actually go for a full semester. We will assist you with thinking through that process. We have counselors here in the office ready to assist to walk through what does it look like to leave campus? How does your financial aid work for the semester if you go in a semester-long program, and if you go on a shorter lead experience over the course of the summer, how can you afford that with some different options that we have through endowed funds, scholarships, and the option of applying for additional financial aid. And the other is summer. Currently, we do have some limited assistance to help with students looking to stay at Bucknell for summer courses. If you are going to take a class at a community college or elsewhere, our money does not travel to those institutions. But again, we can work with you and be a point of contact as you navigate that experience here at the university. So again, just please don't just think of our office as, I applied for financial aid, I'm done. If you have questions or we can help in any way to really make this experience here and all these other options that the university can offer to you to really make this a rich experience, we want to be a partner with you and your student and help you through that process. So again, thank you so much. I'm going to leave it here with just some information related to our office. We obviously all check our office emails daily. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to give us a phone call or send us an email, and our team is ready to assist you. Thank you very much. Have a great semester. We'll see you soon, and we're here to help if you need anything.